Hey, I'm Hello Rodney. Thanks for clicking on my video. Just went for a nice walk. This video is a response to Luis Gutierrez. I think he's a House member from Chicago, I believe, and he well, let me show you what he said. I don't know what's wrong with you, Mr. Gutierrez. What is wrong with you? You didn't know this already? Angry Gutierrez. Dems care more about same-sex marriage than Latinos. You didn't know that, Gutierrez? Democrat from Illinois. The Democrats have a hierarchy of offended classes. You know, the first offended classes were blacks. They used blacks to get votes. Okay. Then when they had all the blacks, and they always get 90% of the black vote, they don't give blacks anything. Except the Obama cell phone. Oh, come on, Obama cell phone. I'm going to vote for Barack. He's taking care of me. Right? Then they started to have a feeling, well, okay, we got the blacks in our pocket for sure. Let's go get the Mexicans, the Hispanics, the Hispanics, the Latinos, whatever. And I grew up in New Mexico. Mexicans are great people. Now they're called Mexican Americans. But Mexicans are nice people. I used to live in LA. I lived in an area that was where Mexicans and El Salvadorans primarily live, in the Westlake part of Los Angeles by MacArthur Park. I lived within probably 5 blocks of MacArthur Park. Even less than that, about 5 blocks maybe. And Mexicans have a great sense of humor. They have a great sense of humor. It was this guy. Because I'm a gabacho, huh? Hey. So I'm at this place that I eat. When I got to LA. And the guy that worked there got his own restaurant later, and I started going to his restaurant. But in the beginning, he had this guy, I would go to his place, and he worked there, and then he got his own restaurant. And so you would go up to the counter to do your order, and then they would call you, and you could pick up your order. Or they would bring it up to your table, I can't remember. And so I was standing there ordering, and they're all Mexicans there. And this one guy, there's these little green chilies about that big, little jalapenos. And a guy comes over, I'm standing there, and the guy says, "Hey, you want a chili, eh?" You know, he pushes this chili toward me. I said, no, thanks, I'm going to have the salsa. So I make my order, so I'm waiting there for my order to come over. He comes and brings over the chili to the table. Hey, puts it on the table. Hey, come on, take a bite, man. You know, check it out. Fucking guy. So I grabbed the chili and chopped it with one bite, just like chomped it like that. Ate the chili right in front of him. And he was so shocked by that, he took off. It was great. I'll tell you, Mexicans have a great sense of humor, but their sense of humor can be very dangerous. It's like a slapstick kind of humor. So, right on the corner of, 7th and Bonnie Bray, I think it was. No, 8th and Bonnie Bray. The corner of 8th and Alvarado. The corner of 8th and Alvarado. I'm standing there getting ready to cross the street, and these 2 Mexican guys standing there, and the bus is coming down the street. Okay, so we're waiting to cross the street. So the one guy was a Mexican guy that was, they were to my left. And the guy that was closest to me was facing the other guy, and the other guy had his back to traffic. So the bus was coming, so the guy who was next to me made a motion to cross the street, and so his buddy did too. And then because the bus was coming, so then they said, "Hey, the bus!" The guy said, "The bus," you know. And then the guy jumped back, and I knew that he had tricked him, and he knew he had tricked him, and so we both broke out laughing. It was the funniest thing. I mean, the guy could have been killed, literally killed, run over by the freaking bus. But that's the kind of humor sometimes Mexicans have. They're funny people. They're great. They're great. They have a great sense of humor. One time I was walking down the street by my house, and there was on the corner was there had been a store there that had been gone since I got there. And it was basically a vacant lot with a chain link fence around it, and the guys would go there and play soccer, football. And so I was walking down to the corner store, and all of a sudden they kicked it, and the ball came over the fence. So it bounced in the street, and I got it. So I'm standing there with the ball, and they're all behind the fence. And so I just hauled ass. I just took off with the ball around the corner. And so here comes this guy to get me, you know. And so I'm standing there with this big smile on my face, and he realizes it was just because, you know, it was obvious that it was a joke. And so I said, so I came back to the corner, and I kicked the ball. I had these boat shoes on, so I kicked the ball back into the playing where they were playing, and my shoe flew off and did a flip up in the air, and they just died laughing because of that, and I did too. It was so funny because it was just, that's the kind of humor that it's a beautiful kind of thing. It's a beautiful kind of thing. And if Mexico wasn't so fucked up now with all the cartels and everything, I would be living in Mexico. I would be living in Mexico. Because in the old days, it was cheap enough where you could live there. Now, you know, people are talking about it. You know, you would go to some places like rural areas. You know, they used to be poor and this and that. Now guys are driving around in big new F-150s. Where are they getting the money for this stuff? Well, you know where they're getting it. So they're in the drug dealing business, and it's not good. It's not good for the people there. It's not good for anybody else. So, you know, I could never live there. But if it was a peaceful place, I would not be living here. I would sell my property and move to Mexico, because the people are great, and they have a more of a laid back attitude now. You know, because of the drugs and everything, it's kind of screwed up. But they used to have a very laid back kind of mañana attitude, sort of a vibe, and it was great. But anyway, I want to talk to this guy Gutierrez from Illinois, upset that the Democratic Party is thinking more about homosexual marriage, gay marriage, than they are about Mexicans. Well, let's see if we can come up with a hierarchy. I don't know if we can or not. Of course, it's not a we thing, it's a me thing, because I'm the one doing the video. But let's see here. Because in the beginning, it was the blacks. The Democrats, and it goes back to Lyndon Johnson, when the Great Society, and he said something to the fact that if he used a strong language too. He didn't say blacks. That we'll have them in our pocket. They'll be voting for us for the next 50 years, which is true. It's been more than 50 years. 50 years is this year in 68, and that was in 64, I think. So it's more than 50 years. The black vote has been in the pocket of the Democrats because they keep bullshitting them. Oh, we're going to do this for you. We're going to do that for you. And Obama, even Obama, who's supposed to be somebody that they could trust, the only thing that he gave black people was the Obama cell phone. Because they moved on from the blacks. See, the blacks, they got 90+% of the votes. So they don't need to be giving the black people anything. thing they give them is welfare, and that's from the government. Welfare and all this kind of bullshit. You know, they're not helping the black people. Now there is a group of a lot of black people are very, very industrious, and they're getting out of the inner cities, and they're doing the best they can, and they're successful. A lot of successful black people out there, and God bless them. But that doesn't mean that there aren't a lot of black people that need help. And the Democrats are never, ever going to help black people get out. They're only going to help black people stay where they are, on the bottom rung. If they stay there and vote 90%, what more do they want? So then after they realize they got all the blacks, now let's get the brown people. Because for some reason they think, oh, black people and brown people are different than white people, so the black people and the brown people are going to gang up on the white people. Let me tell you something about that. I've experienced in this. Direct experience from the O.J. Simpson trial. And direct experience from my living in Los Angeles. My experience tells me this. Mexicans would rather hang out with white people than black people. Black people would rather hang out with white people than Mexicans. That's my experience. Now, since they got the black people in the bag, now let's go to the Mexican Americans. Let's give them the same thing that we gave the blacks. Let's get the Mexicans on, Mexican Americans, everybody on welfare. And let's let in the real Mexicans from Mexico. We'll let them in, and then they will eventually become citizens, and they will have all of these votes. We get 90% of this vote and 90% of this vote, and the only thing we have to do is make sure that the welfare system works. Well, Mexicans are getting out of that. Black people are getting out of that. Black people and Mexican people are sick and tired of being used by the Democratic Party. But now it starts to get different. Now, well, the Democrats have the Mexicans and the blacks. So now let's go to the gays. Doesn't matter what you do or how you do it. We want the gays now. So they got the blacks, the Mexicans, the gays. And let me tell you something. They're never going to give the Mexicans what they want. All this BS about DACA. Oh, DACA! Well, why didn't Barack Hussein Obama, your savior, why didn't he do DACA in the first 2 years of his presidency when he had the House and the Senate to back him up? Because he wasn't serious about doing it. Because they, the Democrats, want to have the Mexicans and the blacks as a hammer to beat over the head of the Republicans so that they can feel good about themselves. They can virtue signal to everybody, oh, look how wonderful we are. We're helping the blacks and the Mexicans. When in fact, they're the ones that are keeping the Mexicans and the blacks down. And the proof of that is that they moved on from the Mexicans and the blacks, and now they're with the gays. And the top thing that you should realize about this is Manning. Bradley Manning. A guy that pledges allegiance to the United States, from what I understand, to get his security clearance. I'm sure you had to say you're not going to do anything bad. You're not going to give secrets away. I'm sure at least they had to do that. But he decided to do it anyway. He got caught. He gets sentenced to a bunch of years in prison, which is where he belongs as a traitor to the country. And then all of a sudden, oh, I'm going to cut off my dick, get some fake tits, put on some makeup, and now I'm a transsexual. So because of his strength, his courage to come out as a transsexual, Barack Hussein Obama says I will give him a presidential pardon because of his strength in coming out and letting everyone know that he's a transsexual. Are you shitting me? you shitting me? So you're on the top of the list if you're going to cut your dick off or pretend to be a man when you're a woman. You're at the top of the list. If you're gay, regular run-of-the-mill gay, you're second on the list. Third on the list are Mexicans, and last are blacks. And if you don't believe it, too bad. I'm Hello Rodney. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.